Morning, everybody. Now that I've become obsessed with multi-tools, I found another one, but this one's going to be in the bargain range. You know, I've got the higher end Leathermans and Victorinox and stuff like that that go from, 150 to 240 bucks. Been rocking the Arc lately. But I also like the bargains. And some people might not want to carry this, in a pocket. This is 8.6 ounces. It's half a pound of metal. I don't mind it, but some people might. And I guess if you're wearing like loose shorts or something in the summertime, that might be, a bit more cumbersome than wearing jeans in the wintertime. So if you want a truly small one, I have, I didn't bring it in here with me. It's in my drawer in my bedroom. I keep saying the Wave, but it's not the Handyman. I'm so bad with names sometimes. But there was a Leatherman that was around 65 bucks that I was given as a gift. That one's fairly small, but it's still not what you would call like really discreet. It's smaller than this, but some people, they don't want a lot of weight in their pocket. So they want something even smaller. And with Leathermans and some of the other companies, there's not a lot of options if you really want to go little. So this one, I'd heard good things about the company, and they seem to be at decent reviews. So I figured, let me try one, because these are on the Amazons, and they're only like, I don't know, 20 bucks, 25 bucks, something like that. Let's see, while we're talking here. Let's see, order history, and this one was a whopping $23.98 plus tax. Amazon Prime 2-day shipping. So 25 bucks. It is called, and I'll put the link up there, the Nextool Keychain Multi-Tool. It's multi-mini pliers with pocket knife, blah, blah, blah. So it is a little one. So what I brought out to compare, well, you can see what it looks like compared to like a Leatherman Arc. So yeah, it's little. And then we've got a Victorinox. Trying to remember which one this one is. God damn, I'm so bad with names. And the problem is I have so many knives and so many things that sitting here trying to remember, it's like I have to start taking notes and all that kind of stuff. Let's see, I'm just going through my order history here. It should be back here. Let's see, Corvette parts. That was the Evolution. It would have been before that. Would have been before the Swiss Champ. So this is the Deluxe Tinker. There we go. So you got your Phillips screwdriver. You'll have a flathead here. You got a can opener as well. You got a wee pair of pliers. It does also have scissors. And then you got a blade and a little blade. So, decent tool set. And size-wise is actually still bigger than this. So this thing is itty bitty. So you're like, well, how much utility or everyday EDC versatility could you pack into something that is literally 2/3 the size of a Deluxe Tinker? This thing's small. It's thinner. And maybe a tad wider, but it's a good solid 3/4, probably almost an inch shorter. So what is in here? Well, on the outside, you have one tool that incorporates both your can opener as well as your bottle opener. I don't know why other tools don't do it like that. I guess in this sense here, it takes up 2 spots, but if it was twice as long, it would be taking up that whole slot anyway, so maybe that's not that much of a difference. But on a multi-tool, it's like, why have 2, some of them have 2 of them shorter stacked together and then waste the space down here. Put one tool that has both, and then depending on whatever you're doing, you got the tool right there. So you got that. Then you've also got a small blade. And like the Swiss Army knife, it is not locking. It's not a very big blade. We're talking, let's see, 1 3/4 with a 1 3/4 cutting edge. It's a very shallow, it's a very small hollow grind. It's not that big. Don't know why I'm all of a sudden coughing as soon as I turn the camera on. Probably to make up for the fact that the dogs aren't barking, because figure one of them has to come up and ruin the video. So we got a basic blade. We've got a combo tool We, on this side, have two tools. They're small, so we got a small regular screwdriver. We have a small 2D Phillips screwdriver. Now, I don't know honestly how good that's going to be with it being 2D like that. I mean, it'll probably work on small screws, but you're not going to do any heavy duty work. But for a small tool that's going to be this size, you're going to make some sacrifices. You're not going to have a full size 3D bit or even a bit changer and bit holder and all that stuff. You also do get a small set of scissors. They are spring loaded, they're small, but yeah, they seem to work just fine. The blade itself, let's see, how sharp was it? Is the blade decently sharp out of the box? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually decently sharp. We'll do a push test. Yeah, does a push test. So, I mean, I'm sure it's not awesome steel. You probably have to sharpen it very frequently, but for $25 and you just want a little tiny pocket tool, what do you want? So let's see, we got screwdrivers. They're okay. They're probably, like I said, you're not going to really be torquing on a Phillips with that. You'll probably end up bending it or stripping the screw because it isn't probably wide enough. It's enough to work in a pinch on something small. If you just got to tighten something. So we got that. We got scissors. And then we've got inside a set of pliers. And I don't know, they appear to be, let's see, let's compare to what we've got here on the Victorinox. So the jaws are a little bit bigger. You've got your needle nose as well as, you know, a regular set of pliers. This is good up to, I mean, you can just barely get your hand, you know, on a 10 millimeter. This is probably about the same. I would say that the 10 millimeter here, because you can see how the teeth are just kind of like straight, you know, the angle there. You have to put a lot more pressure on it to kind of grip it. Whereas here, it's more wrap around. I think you'd probably grab onto something a little bit better, and then you got your needle nose out here. But the grooves and stuff are fairly decent. The action's good. I'll say one thing, there's no play in this. There's no wiggle up and down. Like this is, and I haven't tightened or done anything here, but typically you've got some good wobble in here. My arc has more wobble, and that's after I tighten that up, than this thing does out the box. So, I don't know. I mean, for someone who doesn't need a complete tool set, you got a little set of pliers. Here, this does fill your hand more, but you're basically really only pinching with your thumb. Whereas here, you do kind of get your hand on it, and I feel like if you had to grip something hard, you could probably grip it a little bit harder here than trying to grip it here. This is just so skinny. It just, you know, if you put a lot of pressure, it puts all that, focuses it all in a small area. This here, you're basically just going to use your thumb or like that. And so, yeah, you can grip things, but probably not going to get as much leverage and mechanical advantage as using this. I do have big hands, so it is a little small for me. You know, it's not going to feel, you know, like I'm using a full set of pliers where I can really get my hands on there and grip something hard. But I would say it's in between this and this. There are a lot of concessions made here, not going to lie. You know, the blade steel's probably some kind of 440 or something like that. I don't think it's going to be anything great, or it's going to be something like doesn't say anywhere. That's the problem. I couldn't figure out what the hell blade steel it uses. Is it on this thing? It wasn't on the ad. It doesn't say. So, you know, you're not expecting a heavy duty, hard use, hold an edge forever, magna cut, or, you know, it's not that kind of tool. And it also isn't that kind of price. $25 with tax and shipping, $250. Yeah, I must be getting a cold or something, because as soon as I fire up the camera, all of a sudden I'm runny nose and coughing. Figures. But the dogs have been quiet. Like I said, it's always one or the other. Something's going to happen. I'll either choke on something and have a choking fit, or the dogs just bark at the wall for no reason because they know I'm filming. But, you know, if you just wanted a little keychain, like emergency type thing, you know, you can hardly go wrong with a Victorinox. You know, if you want a thing that's more designed as a knife first. You know, you've got a considerably bigger blade. The ergonomics are designed around the experience of a knife and using it as such. And then with the knife, you then also get scissors and pliers and some screwdrivers and basic shit like that. This is coming like the Leathermans from the other end of the spectrum. This, instead of a knife that has a small set of pliers, like the Leathermans, this is more primarily a set of pliers that then has some additional side tools. So it's just a different philosophy. If you look at the specs, you'd say, well, they have roughly the same number of tools, the same amount of tools, and you know, depending on which model, they're going to be roughly equivalent. Now, there's a design philosophy that is different between them. This is knife first, tools second. This is going to be tools like the pliers first, and then the other tools second. But in the end, it all just comes down to what your personal preference is. Some people are never going to do more cutting than opening up a cardboard box, opening a package, slicing open an envelope, cutting a piece of string, opening a package. You know, you bought a set of sockets or something from Home Depot, and you got to basically open that up. And for that, you know, I would prefer to see it just a little bit bigger and maybe a little bit better quality on the blade steel and stuff. But the construction seems solid. And, you know, for those kind of things where it's just an EDC, if you're out camping or you're doing somewhere where you feel like this is a working tool, I have to use this all day as part of my job, cutting carpet or doing whatever, or I'm a technician or something, yeah, go get the Leatherman, spend the money. You know, you can easily justify that. And you may be carrying it on a belt pouch or something like that. If you just an average Joe who just needs like a small set of tools in their pocket because they might have to crack open a package or tighten a screw on something or grab something. They can't grab it with a finger and they got to pull a splinter out or just do something basic. Then knives like these and tools like these are perfectly adequate. Most people will be well served by having anything from, if you want the whole tool set, and you go with the Swiss Champ down to like a Deluxe Tinker or Super Tinker or something like that, where you've got basically scissors, screwdrivers, pliers, and knives. That covers most bases for most people. And if you want that extra set of pliers where if you really had to grab something, you get that just that little bit of extra leverage. And I've told this story before, but I was in going up to Kentucky to get Mr. Muggles, our golden retriever from the breeder. And so we had an overnight trip up there, because it was like 8 hours each way. And on the way back on the Mustang, the stereo froze up. You know, it's computerized. It basically had locked up. The only way to get it to reset is to pull the battery for 30 seconds. Well, luckily, I think I had this on me, or one of the Swiss Army knives. And I was like, that was just big enough to grab the 10 millimeter bolt head on the negative battery terminal to loosen it enough that I could unscrew it and pop it off. Wait for 30 seconds, put it back on, and everything's fine. So, you know, having a little tool like that, instead of like, does anybody have any tools I can borrow? Having something that small that fits in your pocket, or even better, if you don't mind carrying the big boys, having, you know, something like this that's got all your tools and you know, has a real blade and it's Magna Cut, you can spend that kind of money, but not everybody wants to spend $250 on a pocket tool or wants to carry half a pound in their pocket. And that's where things like the Tinkers and the Handymans and some of the Victorinox models really come into their own. But on those, you know, the pliers are, you know, they're there and you could probably use it for a splinter, and it did work in a pinch. But if I'd had to put any more pressure on there, I don't think I would have been able to do it with this. It's just not conducive. Whereas something like this, even though it's small, I can get a hand on there. It's not just your thumb. And the teeth and the piece up here is just a little bit more robust. So I almost wish there was a Goldilocks one, and I'm going to keep searching, because it's like, for some people, as an EDC that doesn't go in a belt pouch, if you're going to put it in a pocket, this is too big. But for a lot of those same people, they'll go, this one's just a little too small. They need the one in the middle that's just right. I'm going to keep looking for that. But honestly, for 25 bucks, this is the kind of thing you could just throw if you're a woman. Just throw it in your purse. Forget it's there until the one day you actually need it. And you're like, oh, wait, I have a screwdriver. Oh, wait, I have a little penknife. Oh, wait, I've actually got a pair of pliers. You know, carrying around tools, I really have changed a lot of my views on stuff. I was always carrying knives. The knife was the tool. But the knife is only good for a couple things: stabbing, slicing. And those things do come up. Okay, well, when you have a multi-tool like this, I can still do stabby and slicey. and I have a multi-tool like this, and I got screwdrivers and bit drivers and all that kind of stuff, but I still have stabby, slicey. I still have those things. I haven't lost anything by giving up my tactical blades, but now I'm also grabbing, you know, bit drivers and can openers and you know, a decent pair of scissors, and you got saws and files and things like that. So I'm going to look around and see if Nextool makes a medium size, because I think that could be the sweet spot. I will say, even though I don't know what the blade steel is, everything else, the construction on this is excellent. It's really well put together. It doesn't flex or have all kinds of play in it. It's nicely made. It's a nicely made little tool. And so if they had something that was maybe more in this price range of the Roxxon, but not as big and bulky, basically just this, but maybe a little bit bigger so it sits size and weight wise, because this is only like, this is under 3 ounces. That's the other thing. 8.6 ounces, half a pound, quarter pound. It's a big difference in your pocket. It's little. And for some people, they're working in an office and they just need something. Maybe they're in IT and they're working on computers and they got to, I don't know, you know, whatever you use these things for. This thing's just so tiny. It's like you almost throw it on your keychain, which is probably why the word keychain is in the title on the listing. But Nextool, I don't know, it's nice. I don't have a problem with this thing. You know, if you're a knife snob and I will only buy American or whatever, well, we got whole conversations on my channel about people like that. And that's fine. Go buy the Leatherman. Go buy one of the US-made Gerbers. You know, there's American-made multi-tools. But if you don't want to spend that kind of money and you don't want these giant things and you want something that's just small, discreet, has the basics covered and is, you know, relatively well made and pretty sturdy, I don't think you can go wrong with something like this. But keep an eye on the channel. I'm going to look for something that's a little more, instead of tiny, micro size, and then you got medium to almost full size, we're looking for something in the small to medium segment, something that sits in between this. A multi-tool that has all this stuff and maybe an extra tool or two because it's a little bigger, but sits like here. I think that might be the holy grail for a lot of people as an EDC. If it's on a belt pouch and you're using it for work constantly, then you can justify having this or even the Surge or some of the big boys. And this may not be enough, but maybe you can get something that's more like that. So keep an eye out. If I find something, I'm going to keep looking. If I find something that looks decent and quality and does the job and maybe adds in the process of adding an inch to it, and beefing it up a little bit, adds another couple tools in the handles because you'd have that more space to work with. That could be a win. That could be the win. So anyway, we'll talk to you cats later.